Most men underestimate the power of words. They think attraction is built only through physical looks, status, or possessions, but the truth is that words are one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to influencing desire. A single sentence spoken with the right energy can pull a woman closer than anything else. Because words don't just deliver meaning, they deliver emotion. The way you speak, the tone you use, and the certainty behind your voice all combine to create an impact that lingers in her mind long after the conversation ends. If you know how to use your words correctly, you don't have to beg for attention, you don't have to prove yourself, because your communication already sets you apart from other men. Think about it. Most men rely on surface compliments like you're pretty or you're hot. Women hear those words hundreds of times and they've lost their meaning. There's no emotional charge behind them, no depth. But when you choose words that reveal awareness, when you say something that makes her feel truly seen, you hit a different level of attraction. Words shape the frame of how she experiences you. A man who knows how to speak in a way that taps into her emotions is unforgivable, because he's not just filling silence, he's leading her into a feeling. The reality is that women don't just want to hear words. They want to feel the man behind those words. That's why it's not just about what you say, but how you say it. If your words are shaky, hesitant, or uncertain, she feels that weakness. But if your words are calm, grounded, and deliberate, she feels that strength. She responds not just to the content, but to the energy you project. This is why some men can say something incredibly simple and still spark attraction, because the certainty behind their words makes it irresistible. When you use your words with purpose, you begin to separate yourself from the noise. Most men try too hard to say the perfect thing, but attraction doesn't come from perfection, it comes from authenticity. If your words reveal that you see her in a way other men don't, if your words carry conviction instead of doubt, you create a moment that she can't ignore. It plants a seed of curiosity, of intrigue, and of desire. She starts wondering why your words affect her differently, why she feels pulled toward you, and that's where resistance begins to fade. Words are the bridge between thought and action. They are the tools that create meaning in a woman's mind. When you use them unconsciously, you sound like every other man. But when you use them with awareness and intent, you create attraction without even trying. And that is why words spoken with presence and certainty can make a woman unable to resist you. One of the biggest differences between a man who attracts women effortlessly and a man who constantly struggles is the way he speaks. Women are naturally drawn to certainty. They are repelled by indecision, hesitation, and weak language. When a man speaks with conviction, when his words carry weight and clarity, it communicates strength. It communicates that he knows who he is and what he wants, and that certainty is magnetic. Attraction is not just about what you say, it's about how sure you are when you say it. Most men kill attraction by softening their words. They use phrases like maybe we could or if you want to. They leave everything open-ended because they fear rejection, and in doing so, they project doubt. That doubt instantly translates into weakness. Women don't want a man who second-guesses himself or constantly looks for reassurance. They want a man who can take the lead, make a statement, and stand on it without apologizing. When your words are direct, it shows you don't need approval. You are already secure within yourself. This doesn't mean being arrogant or forceful. It's not about dominating or controlling. It's about speaking in a way that leaves no room for confusion. Instead of saying, "Do you want to hang out sometime?" you say, "Let's grab coffee tomorrow." Instead of saying, "Would it be okay if I called you?" you say, "I'll call you tonight." The difference may seem small, but the energy behind it changes everything. One shows uncertainty, the other shows certainty. One communicates doubt, the other communicates strength. Women listen less to the words themselves and more to the energy carried within those words. When you sound unsure, She feels it in her body and it lowers her attraction. When you sound grounded, calm, and decisive, she feels that too, and it draws her in. Certainty is attractive because it creates safety. It shows her that you are capable of leading, that you can stand firm in your decisions, and that you're not afraid of her reaction. That confidence is irresistible because it separates you from the majority of men who live in hesitation. Even in the smallest conversations, certainty makes the difference. If you compliment her, do it with conviction. Don't hesitate or water it down. Say it like you mean it. If you express interest, don't tiptoe around it. Be direct and grounded. The more certain your words, the more certain she feels in her attraction toward you. When you speak with conviction, you stop asking for permission and start leading the interaction, and that is exactly what women respond to. Attraction follows certainty, and a man who can speak with clarity and conviction naturally becomes the one she cannot resist. Most men think the best way to compliment a woman is by focusing on her looks. They'll say things like, "You're beautiful" or "You're gorgeous," and while those words are nice to hear, they don't carry much weight. Why? Because she's heard them countless times before. They've become background noise. Every man says them, so they don't stand out. What actually captures her attention and makes her feel something deeper is when you notice what most men overlook. When you go beyond the surface and acknowledge her presence, her vibe, her energy, those are the words that strike a chord. A woman's looks may get her attention, but her energy is what defines her. The way she makes a room feel, the warmth she brings, or the unique light she carries, that's what makes her unforgettable. And when you can articulate that, when you tell her something like, "I love the way you make people feel comfortable," or "You have a presence that draws people in," it creates an emotional impact. You're not just complimenting what she shows on the outside, you're recognizing something deeper. That's what most women crave because it validates the part of them that isn't often acknowledged. Think about it from her perspective. She can walk outside and get compliments on her looks from strangers in a matter of minutes. Those words don't cost anything. But when a man notices her essence, her uniqueness, her energy, it's rare. It tells her that he's actually paying attention. It tells her that he's not just captivated by her body, but by who she is when she shows up in the world. That kind of compliment hits different because it makes her feel seen in a way most men never bother to see. And here's the truth. Women secretly crave that recognition. They want to feel like their beauty is more than skin deep, that someone is drawn to them for more than just appearance. When you're the man who can say that with honesty and certainty, you instantly separate yourself. You become the one who touches her on an emotional level, not just a physical one. And that's why this type of compliment doesn't come across as needy or shallow. It comes across as grounded, aware, and authentic. What makes this so powerful is the psychology behind it. Humans crave validation in the areas they feel are most overlooked. For women, being acknowledged beyond their looks is a form of validation that reaches straight into their self-worth. Most men never give that to them, so when you do, it feels irresistible. It's not about flattery, it's about truth. It's about having the awareness to see what others don't and the confidence to speak it without hesitation. When you learn to compliment her essence, her energy, and her presence, you unlock a level of attraction most men will never reach. One of the most powerful things you can do as a man is to notice a woman's mind. While most men focus entirely on looks, there's a part of her that is starving for recognition of her intelligence, her ideas, and the way she thinks. Women spend so much of their lives being judged on appearance that their intellectual side often feels overlooked. When you genuinely compliment her mind, you stand out instantly because you are speaking to a part of her that doesn't get fed often. And here's the truth. When you make a woman feel intelligent, capable, and sharp, you spark a level of attraction that goes far beyond physical desire. Think about it. Anyone can tell her she's pretty. That takes no effort and no real observation. But when you say something like, I like the way you think, or you always have a perspective that makes me look at things differently, you're showing her that you're actually paying attention to her inner world. You're not just caught up in what you see on the outside. You're engaged with her thoughts, her creativity, her uniqueness. That type of compliment makes her feel valued for more than just appearance, and it creates a bond that most men never establish. Women secretly crave this because it affirms their worth beyond the surface. It tells them that their beauty isn't the only thing you notice, that you appreciate the depth they bring to the table. And when you can communicate that authentically, it feels like a breath of fresh air to her. She starts to realize that you're not like every other man who just wants her for her body. You're drawn to her for her mind, her ideas, her perspective on life. That is rare, and what is rare is attractive. The reason this works so powerfully is because validation of intelligence taps into a woman's identity. Her mind is what shapes her decisions, her growth, and her individuality. To complement that is to touch the core of who she is. It makes her feel respected, admired, and understood. And respect is one of the strongest pillars of attraction. If she feels respected by you in ways she doesn't from others, she will naturally be drawn to you. But here's the key. It has to be genuine. You can't fake admiration for her mind or throw out empty compliments just to win her over. She will sense the difference. It comes from truly paying attention, from listening to her when she speaks, from being curious about how she thinks and sees the world. When you can show that level of awareness and then put it into words, it's magnetic. At the end of the day, when you compliment a woman's mind, you're giving her something most men never do. You're letting her know that her value goes far beyond looks. And that is what makes you unforgettable. Another compliment that women secretly crave but rarely hear is recognition of their effort. Most men are quick to notice a woman's beauty, but very few take the time to acknowledge the little things she does to present herself, to grow, or to take care of the people around her. A woman doesn't just wake up looking flawless. She puts in effort, whether it's her style, her health, her career, or the way she manages relationships. And when a man notices that effort and speaks it out loud, it resonates on a much deeper level than a shallow compliment ever could. Imagine the difference between saying, you look nice, and saying, I can tell you put a lot of thought into how you carry yourself. It really shows. The first is generic. The second is specific, and it makes her feel valued for the intentionality behind her actions. Women want to feel that their efforts don't go unnoticed. Whether it's the way she styled her hair, the discipline she shows in her fitness routine, or the way she cares for the people she loves, acknowledging that makes her feel appreciated in a way most men completely overlook. This matters because effort is tied to identity. When a woman puts in work toward her appearance, her goals, or her lifestyle, she's not just doing tasks, she's investing in herself. And when someone recognizes that, it validates her dedication. It's not just about physical attraction anymore. It's about emotional connection. You're showing that you see her beyond the surface, that you value her choices and the consistency behind them. That creates a sense of respect that deepens attraction instantly. Another reason this is so powerful is because most women rarely get credit for the things they do behind the scenes. Society expects them to maintain appearances, handle responsibilities, and support others, often without acknowledgement. But when you're the man who notices the unseen work and says, I respect the way you take care of yourself, or I admire how much discipline you put into your goals, it makes her feel truly seen. That's something she doesn't hear often, which is exactly why it stands out. But it's important to be authentic here. Don't exaggerate or throw out vague compliments just to score points. Women can feel when you're being insincere. Instead, pay attention to details. Did she mention she's been working late to finish a project? Recognize that. Did she share how much effort she's put into her health? Compliment the discipline. It's not about flattery, it's about awareness. When you notice and verbalize what most men overlook, you elevate yourself above the noise. Attraction thrives in the spaces where she feels valued, respected, and understood, and recognizing her effort does exactly that. It tells her that you're not just seeing the result, you're appreciating the work it took to get there. That's a level of validation most men never give, and it makes you unforgettable in her eyes. One of the most overlooked compliments that women deeply crave is recognition of their character. While looks may catch the eye and personality may spark interest, it is character that truly defines a woman. At her core, complimenting a woman on her kindness, her integrity, her resilience, or the value she lives by strikes deeper than any surface level praise could ever reach. It communicates that you see her not just as someone attractive, but as someone admirable, a person whose way of living leaves an impression. Most men never take the time to notice this. They stay stuck in the obvious, saying things like, "You're beautiful," or "You're funny." While those words have value, they don't set you apart. But when you tell a woman something like, "I really respect the way you stay true to yourself," or "the way you treat people says a lot about who you are," it lands differently. It doesn't just flatter her, it honors her. And that's what women secretly crave, to feel honored for who they are at the deepest level. Think about how rare that is. Looks can fade, personalities can shift depending on the situation, but character is the foundation. It's what guides her choices, how she carries herself, and how she handles challenges. To notice that and speak it out loud shows her that you have depth, awareness, and maturity. It separates you instantly from men who only see the surface. Women want to feel like the values they live by are recognized. When you give that recognition, it hits a part of her that doesn't get fed often. The reason this works so powerfully is because women, just like men, want to be seen for their true self. Complimenting her character is like saying, "I see the person you are when no one's watching." It's not about her looks or even her actions. It's about the heart and mindset behind those actions. For example, if she's someone who's always supporting others, telling her, "I admire how selfless you are," validates that her effort and kindness are noticed. If she's someone who doesn't compromise on her values, letting her know, "I respect how firm you are in what you believe," shows her that her strength is not only visible, but attractive. And here's what makes this irresistible. Women are not used to hearing it. Compliments on beauty are common. Compliments on humor or style are common. But compliments on integrity, loyalty, resilience, or compassion, those are rare. And people value what is rare. When you give her what most men never think to say, she instantly sees you differently. She sees you as someone who looks past the obvious, someone who recognizes what truly matters, someone who understands her in a way others don't. Giving her opportunity to look good, giving her the opportunity to look bad, someone who recognizes her inner past, and someone who understands her in a way others don't. At the end of the day, complimenting a woman's character is one of the most powerful things you can do. It makes her feel deeply respected, genuinely valued, and emotionally connected. And when a woman feels that, she doesn't forget you.